welcome to Kinks and Beats Daily. I'm your host, Tony Fry. Thank you for downloading today's episode. Before we get started, I just want to let you all know or remind you, if you've listened to the last couple episodes, we have a new little social network over at herohabit.com that includes a discussion group dedicated to this podcast, Kinks and Beats Daily, where we're just going to chat about the Kinks and the Beatles. And it's going to be a place where you can come and share an opinion or post a picture that you like or talk about a specific episode of this podcast if you want to correct me on something or whatever. But no topics are off limits. We are not there to judge people or anything like that, or the fan police are not going to show up and start determining whether you're a true Kinks fan or a true Beatles fan. There's none of that. We just want to have a nice time over there. So that's brand new. So jump over there, herohabit.com, sign up, and start a conversation there. We also launched over via Hero Habit. For $4 a month, you can subscribe to this podcast. Okay. And what that will do will help keep us ad free. And as a thank you for contributing the $4 a month, I'm going to have some exclusive content that you will get first. So nothing on the podcast here changes. It's still going to be free. And it'll still be daily and everything, nothing will change. But things like our full album analysis that you guys seem to enjoy, that are more like an hour-long episode, people who contribute the $4 a month will get those first. And then, a couple weeks before they are posted publicly. But I have some other little benefits lined up. So if you are so inclined, if you like this podcast and you'd like to help keep it the way it is, without running ads for underwear companies and mattresses and whatnot, consider doing the $4 a month contributions. 20 cents an episode. You can cancel the subscription at any time. And the day I stop producing this podcast, I will disable all those subscriptions. So just give it a thought. Also, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star rating and review. Okay, today is January 27th, and on this day in 1970, John Lennon writes, records, and mixes the single Instant Karma, and it is officially released 10 days later. Now, this is not crazy uncommon today, and today you could have it released the same day with the digital technology. But back then, to write something, assemble the musicians, reserve the recording studio, although getting recording time for John Lennon in 1970 was probably not an issue either. And then to have it mixed and pressed and distributed in just over a week was incredible and not super common at the time. The song would hit the top 5 in America and England and was a hit around the world. If not in the top 5, it was a top 10 in almost every other country. And the musicians, and this is what's incredible, the fact that it was just thrown together like this, they must have been preparing to record something else together. The musicians he gets: John Lennon, obviously, George Harrison, ever heard of him? Klaus Vormann on bass, we've talked about him a lot, Billy Preston on organ, and Alan White on drums. That's a heck of a lineup to get for a song you wrote this morning. So that was on this day, January 27th in 1970. Today, though, we are talking about 9 to 5, which was released December 8th, 1980 on the soundtrack to the film of the same... Wait, no, that's Dolly Parton. 9 to 5 by the Kinks was released May 16th, 1975 on their album Soap Opera, which came out just not long after Preservation Act 2, which came out in 1974. The song is 1 minute and 48 seconds long, making it the shortest song on this album and among the shortest songs in their entire catalog. There are not many songs of theirs that are under 2 minutes, but this is one of them. But what's amazing, and you could say the same thing for another little short piece, The Money Go Round from the Lola album, which is only 5 seconds shorter than this one. what's amazing is it is a through composed piece of music. There is a lot going on here, and this might surprise people to find out that not only do I quite like the Soap Opera album, but I think this is actually one of the best songs on the album at 1 minute and 48 seconds long. What is even more amazing about this piece is I wouldn't have added anything. Like, this song does not need to be 30 seconds longer. It functions perfectly the way it is. It stops abruptly and then goes directly. It's a direct cut into When Work Is Over, which is a more up-tempo Kinks sounding song. But there's a lot going on in this one, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. There's not so much that this is going to be a 20-minute podcast, but there is some stuff going on here, because in this 1 minute and 48 seconds, we have an established verse that we hear 2 times. There's an established chorus that we hear basically 3 times. I'd say twice plus a refrain that cuts into the next song, and a full bridge in 1 minute and 48 seconds. There are songs that go on a lot longer that don't have the lyrical or melodic content that this song, clocking in at under 2 minutes, has. So it's basically in the key of C. And he's using a lot of descending bass lines to get to the next chord. So there's these descending bass lines on the piano with arpeggios in the right hand. And basically he's just going C to A minor 7, which is a 6 chord sort of. You add that 7 and it functions more like a 2, but it is a 6 chord without any accidentals. Then a D minor 7, which is also firmly in the key of C as the 2 chord, and then a G7. So you just go on 1, 6, 2, 5, and then to a 4 chord, to 1, just 2, to 1. So this is very grounded in the key of C. Answering phones and dictating letters, making decisions that affect no one, stuck in the office till 9 till 5. Life is so incredibly dull, working from 9 to 5. Now we go to the 4. Oh, 9 to 5, 9 to 5, working from 9 to 5. Right? And then we get to the bridge. So we've got verse, chorus, bridge with the and time goes by, the hours tick away. So that's the bridge, and then he goes back out of the bridge, back to he's caught in a mass of the computerized trivia, deciphering data, mechanical minds. He goes back to that, and then another chorus. So this is a fully formed song with a pretty melody and very, I guess you could say this is almost one of Ray's Baroque pop tunes. And then it goes right into When Work Is Over, which has got cool little some cool organ work, a cool little guitar riff. So this, surprisingly, for a song that's so short and stuck in the middle as almost a transition piece between 2 songs, there's a lot happening on this, and it's worth a listen. You can, of course, listen to this if you go to our Spotify playlist. That should be up there by the time you listen to this podcast. So on July 25th, 1974, 10 months prior to the UK release of the album, the song and much of the soap opera album was performed on a televised special called Star Maker. And basically, Star Maker tells the story that would become soap opera about this rock star who decides to slum it, to get influence for writing material. So he's going to become this working class schlub and work 9 to 5 and have dinner with his wife and all that kind of stuff, to hopefully inspire him to write some new music. Ray said that he was too self-conscious to watch the special, he knowing that it was bad, and he kind of doesn't fault anyone for being bad in particular, because he ended up working with that producer again. Dave long resented this project, feeling that he was relegated to being Ray's sideman. This was a Ray Davies project, and that the Kinks weren't properly featured. Which I think probably bleeds over into the soap opera album and then Schoolboys in Disgrace. Like, coming out of this, the 2 Preservation albums and now this, Ray is very steeped in this theatrical mindset right now. And I can see how it's definitely pulling focus more on him and away from the band, even though, he was always the frontman of the band. Proper recording of the Star Maker project began in August 1974 and would later be known as soap opera. Just a few months after Preservation 2 came out. I think Preservation came out in May 74, and then by August 74, they were already working on soap opera. So this is a very productive time for Ray and the Kinks. He's putting out a lot of material, as he always did. As you can tell by just the sheer volumes of bonus material and single B-sides and stuff like that we've had since 1964. He's always been a prolific writer, but he is, his prolific nature is really in overdrive right now, because he's also adding this theatrical element and scripts and through thought stories and things like that. So he's really gone into overdrive with the theatrics of it all. So that is 9 to 5 from soap opera. I hope you go listen to it. Share your thoughts with me. Kinks and Beats at herohabit.com. We are still taking voicemails for a special bonus episode we're putting together. If you were sent to Mars and could only take one Beatles or Kinks album as your sole musical entertainment while you were on Mars, which one would it be and why? Give me a call, 925-494-1739. We have finally gotten a second answer. For a while, all the answers were coming back with the same album. We finally have some other albums coming into the mix. So give me a call again, 925-494-1739. Which album would you take to Mars, and why would you take it? And then, of course, like I said, swing by herohabit.com, join our Kinks and Beats group, get a discussion going with some like-minded fans. It's very early for this network, so we want to get as many people there as possible and get some conversations going. All right, I will talk to you on the next episode. Take care. This podcast is presented by the Hero Habit Podcast Network. Swing by herohabit.com today to comment on this episode and poke around our growing database of sports and pop culture news, reviews, and collectibles. herohabit.com. Collect your heroes.